Hi, it's Will from stormthecastle.com, and this video is a tutorial on the making of the 300 diorama, and this is part 1. So what I have here is a basic layout for the diorama, and I wanted to go through a couple of things. If you're thinking about making a big diorama, although this one's medium-sized, I got some good tips for you on diorama making. The first thing I did was I ordered myself a few Spartan warriors because I really wanted to get a sense for the scale and how I was going to make the diorama, is what size. So I did that, and I laid them out in a way I thought was good, and I came up with about 6 inches wide is what I'm going to make the gap. So there's the gap right there. So from there I started making a lot of sketches. So I did a whole bunch of sketches trying to get a sense, and I did a lot of research too on on Thermopylae, and to try to get a sense for what it really looked like back then and for how I was going to do it. So I did a bunch of sketches, and I kept redoing them and trying them out and looking for something that I liked. I came up with something pretty good, and then I transferred it onto a big piece of paper, and I still didn't like it, so I made some more changes. I went back to my original sketches, and I made some more changes and some more sketches until I came up with a couple more versions, until I finally came up with something that I thought I liked the size and the shape of it. So, and this is pretty much the final version. So over here is going to be a big drop-off of cliffs into water. This is the gulf there. Over here is going to be the big cliffs that come up like this. And this is the battleground. The Persians will be approaching from this end, and the Spartans will be holding the hot gate right there. So all of this is water. All of that is mountain and cliff. So it should be pretty interesting. And next I'm going to show you. It's pretty big. So I want to make a nice strong base for it because it's going to be a little heavy, and I don't want it to warp or to be delicate. So next I'm going to show you how I make a base for it. Here's a look at the base I made for the 300 diorama. As you can see, it's just 2x3s, and it's 24 by 36 inches long. Pretty simple, but reasonably strong. Now all I have to do is put this piece on top and nail that down, and I've got my base. As simple as that. You don't have to go through all that trouble of making 2x3 frames or something like that. You could just use a flat piece of plywood, maybe 1/2 inch thick, something like that. Just improvise whatever you need to do to make a nice base, but make sure it's nice and strong, because you don't want it to bend or warp in any way, because that will distort your diorama. Just make it nice and strong so you can carry it around and move it around, because it's going to end up to be a little bit heavy when you're done. So there you go, the base for the 300 diorama. Okay, what I've done here is I've transferred the template to my base. I taped it down, and then to make it easy, I cut it out, as you can see. Cut out the different pieces, tape this down, and then I move the marks over to the actual base. So I can take this up, and see now I have my template all written out with some notes right on the base. So the next thing you can do is start to make the terrain. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. Okay, now I've just begun working on the three-dimensional design of this diorama, and I wanted to make a couple of points. You cut yourself lots of strips of cardboard at different sizes, different thicknesses, different widths, and different types of cardboard even, so you can get a lot of flexibility out of everything. And right here you can see I've started to lay in a bunch of different pieces. I'm just trying to get a sense for how I want it to be built three-dimensionally. And what that means is all these pieces here, I'm going to move them around. I'm going to try different configurations, and I'm going to, same as in two-dimensional design, you draw your idea, then you redraw it, you take a look at it, you redraw it. Same thing goes with three-dimensional design. Try a few pieces, take a look, move it around, try another piece, and you keep kind of working it towards what you envision it to be in your mind. So, see, one thing that could have tripped me up here is this is going to be the water down here on this surface, and the actual battleground surface is going to be elevated like this. So, I want to make sure, see, so my Spartan warriors actually are not going to be down here. They're actually going to be up at this height. So that affects how tall I want to make this, and I'm thinking I might make this a little bit taller. We'll see as I work it. So just a couple of thoughts about three-dimensional design there. Same applies. Keep working at it, try different things, look at stuff, and make changes. Okay, I'll get back to you when I have more of this built, when the shell is pretty much fleshed out. Okay, welcome back. I'm just about finished up with the framework on the 300 diorama. As you can see, I've got it all framed out. And I started putting balls of newspapers inside the frame. And that's important to do. It'll support the frame and make it nice and strong. When you're doing something like this, make sure you get the little squares and all the openings as small as possible, but still large enough to fit your hand in so you can put the newspaper in there. I used plenty of masking tape, and a couple of things work on this. Our stapler works really well when you're stapling together all the different pieces, but it's got a nice look to it. And I haven't secured this down yet, but I want to do see inside there too. Underneath the base, I've got some pedestals there for support. So I'm going to fill all of that with newspaper. And one more thing I wanted to show you that I did here is I've wired in some. This is a good time when you're building your diorama. At this stage is to wire it in if you're going to do any extra stuff. So you can see I've got a speaker in there. You can see it, and I have wires. So I'm going to put in some lights and some sound effects, and the wires all come out here. So that's a good time. So I'm going to finish this stage up by populating it all with crumpled newspaper to give it nice strength, and then we'll be ready for the next stage. Thanks.